Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. We're joined today with Sports Nutritionist Romi Galea, and she is going to be telling us a bit about her and her lifestyle and how she works with athletes as a sports nutritionist. What inspired you to become a sports nutritionist?
First of all, when I was 16, I was quite obese. And then I started training a lot and changing. I tried every type of diet in my life. So basically, then at the age of 30, I knew exactly what works and what doesn't work. And then I started a short course at university, I think 34 years old. And I really got interested in continuing to study. And then I studied at the University of Birmingham, first exercise and sport science, which included nutrition metabolism. And my thesis was also on sports nutrition. I wasn't tired of studying, I think. And I decided to do a PhD in sports nutrition at the University of Chester. And now I am at the very end at last, after 7 years.
Can you describe your educational and professional background in nutrition and sports science?
I've always been training. So I've done athletics, I've done kickboxing, I've done CrossFit. And basically it's my passion. So passion what drives me to do this, actually, rather than work. And when I'm studying it, I really enjoy it. So I'm always learning because you can't get this from a book. You have to keep on doing research and seeing what has come out as your research.
Have you worked with professional teams, individual athletes, or both?
I have done talks for professional teams, like I've done talks for young athletes, for swimmers, but then I've worked one-to-one with athletes. I've done diets for performance, for weight loss, both for example, swimmers, triathletes, and a type of sports actually.
You do sports nutrition only, you don't generally.
Sports, nutrition, and weight loss and fat loss.
So you take on other clients
Yes,
apart from
yes.
athletes.
But then if it involves something with a condition, that's the role of a dietitian then, not my role.
How do nutritional demands differ in different sports?
It depends whether it is intensive, for example, short, like sprints, or whether it is endurance for long hours, for example, 4 to 5 hours. For sprints, you need an amount of food and it needs to be more concentrated in sugars. With endurance, with long hours, for example, when you pass 2 hours, you have to increase sugars quite a bit. The longer that you take, the more sugars you need to supplement. So it depends. For example, with sprints, you can give quite a high dose of caffeine before, but with endurance, you have to give it in small bits. You can't give it all at once because then the heart rate will increase rapidly. For sprint, just a little bit before, like you need to supplement with some sugars. But with regards to endurance, personally, I don't think it would be a good idea to eat. There are people who can tolerate eating bars, for example, but I think it would be better to take gels and these that you add with water, the ISO drinks. And that has to increase depending how many hours you're going to take.
Which sports have you had the most experience with?
I think the most it's with triathletes, CrossFitters, and high rocks now because it's quite popular.
Yes, it's getting hyped up. How do you approach creating individualized nutritional plans for athletes?
First of all, I make them fill a questionnaire so that I can know more about what they like and what they don't like with regards to food. I need to know in detail their type of workouts that they're doing daily. And then I want to know their aims, for example. What is their aim? For example, some wish the most common one is losing fat, gaining muscle mass, but you can't do both. There are some people who will manage with the right plan to increase some muscle mass, but it's not the norm. And then I will explain to them, for example, that the scales is not everything, but what is more important is the measurements of the hips and the waist, because that means we're losing fat, we're not losing muscle mass. And then I explained to them that the process has to be slowly. For example, if they want to lose fat, but they don't want to lose performance, so they don't want to feel weak, you have to lower the calories by a little bit, because if you lower it a lot, then you won't have enough energy for training.
What role does psychology play in your approach to nutrition coaching?
With regards to psychology, usually I do help them, but if it is something, for example, I've had some cases where they are really obsessed with the scales. And so I can notice that they need some psychological help. So first I send them to deal with that, and then they will come back with helping them how they are going to eat. Because if you don't solve the root cause, you cannot really follow a plan. You will never be happy with the results.
How do you handle athletes resistant to dietary changes?
I've never had that, to be
Never
honest,
had.
and I had a lot of clients. The only problem usually that I get is that some people don't like vegetables. So that would be the biggest struggle for them to include
what
more
would you do?
vegetables. I try to tell them, instead of vegetables, for example, do a stir fry, like with peppers, mushrooms, because usually they like that. They just don't like broccoli, for example, cauliflower.
I think
And
they
that
just
stuff.
find it very boring in a way. They're scared of finding the diet boring, so they have to try and.
But I do
spice
give
it
them
up.
recipes.
Yeah.
So if you have time to cook,
Mhm.
you can use the recipes.
What are the biggest nutritional mistakes you see athletes make?
First of all, the most common one is that they don't eat enough. That is the biggest problem. Or else, for example, either they don't take breakfast, or for example, they take a sugary breakfast. So some of them, for example, they tell me till the lunch I'm fine. Then I go home and I eat everything that I find in front of me. So usually either they are not eating enough, so they don't feel with that much energy, and they don't lose the weight, because sometimes if you're not eating enough, the body won't let you lose the fat. And they are not doing the right combination of macros. So either high fat, high carbs all in one, or high carbs. And that won't work, obviously, because you will be playing with the blood sugar.
How do you adjust nutritional plans during off season compared to peak season, peak competition season?
To be honest, I don't have much of that type, because I work with triathletes. I'm not really with footballers.
How do you adjust nutrition plans on rest days versus training days?
Yes. For example, on rest days, I might reduce a bit the carbohydrates if they're not using that much energy. It depends, because if rest days they still are going for a walk, for example, you can still follow the same nutrition plan. But for example, if you have one day you're training twice in a day, and then on a rest day you're doing nothing, you have to reduce a bit the food.
How do you stay up to date with latest research in sports nutrition?
First of all, I watch a lot of podcasts from people that I know that have done their work, and they have studied a lot. Not everyone, obviously. And I read a lot of papers, a lot of research papers that have come out recently. And I keep up to date with the latest research.
What motivates you most about working in sports nutrition?
I think the results that I see from people, for example, they tell me how happy I'm feeling now, how good I feel when I'm eating this food. Like before, they feel like they don't have energy, and now they have much energy. Some people don't think that they can lose fat, and they start losing fat. Others, for example, they start with, when I'm going to have a cheat meal. And then after, for example, 6 weeks, they don't even think about it, because they are feeling so good that when they eat something which is not that healthy, they don't feel good. So that is my satisfaction to me, more than really the payment for the.
How do you evaluate whether a nutrition trend is worth implementing in an athlete's regimen?
For example, with ketosis, there are people who are endurance runners and they have done well with it. But for example, a keto diet, I don't suggest it to sprinters, for example, because you need a sudden rush of carbohydrates. It depends which sport you're taking. For example, even for CrossFitters, I don't like keto diet. Like the body will change your PET intake into glucose, but it takes time. It's not like taking glucose immediately. I will explain to them that, for example, keto is not the right one for their diet. And then if they want to follow that, I let them follow it. I can't do anything. But I will tell them my opinion, what is best and what is not. If it is a vegetarian diet, everything changes. You have to really be careful with the macros because many protein sources have carbs in them and fats. So what I find is that with vegan diets, it will be harder to lose fat. Because, like I said, the protein, for example, if I have a piece of chicken breast, that's all protein and minimal fat. It doesn't have carbs. And I can get easily 20 grams of protein. If I take tofu, for example, with 100 grams of tofu, you might get 8 grams of fat. It's not filling at all. And not much protein compared with chicken breast. So we have to really be careful with macros.
What is one nutrition myth you would wish would disappear?
The one of eggs, that eggs are not healthy. They used to tell us that you can't have eggs every day, for example, because of cholesterol.
Cholesterol and the egg yolk.
So that's a myth, but hopefully that it's changing now. The other myth is that you can't eat carbs in the evening. Actually, carbs help you sleep better. So it's important. If you eat the right amount of calories, you can have them at lunch or you can have them at dinner. Doesn't make a difference. Exactly. Or stop eating after 6. It doesn't make sense. Usually we tell them stop eating 2 hours before you go to bed. So that your digestive system, you're not, for example, you have eaten a lot and then you're sleeping and you still have your digestive system going, working.
If you could give every athlete one piece of nutrition advice, what would it be?
Don't forget about your protein. A diet needs to be high in protein because that is the most important thing. Because muscle is everything. If you don't have enough muscle, your metabolism will suffer. You will, as you age, will start losing muscle mass 1% every year after 35 years. And I explaining like this, like till 35, we build an amount of muscle mass. And then after 35, we're really taking from that amount. So if I keep working out and eating protein, that will go down slowly. But if you're sitting down, not training, not eating enough protein, that will go down really rapidly. So I think that would be my advice. To really be careful to take enough protein and eat enough.
And to round things up, what advice would you give to aspiring sports nutritionists?
My advice is that if you like it, if you really are passionate about it, then go for it because I love it. It's not my main job, but it's something that is a passion for me. So this drives me to do it. And I really love helping people. Like it really motivates me when I make a difference in others' lives. And nothing can stop me from achieving what I really want. So that's what I tell others. Never. You're going to find a lot of hurdles, but if you want something, you can always achieve it if you believe in yourself.
So, guys, thank you for watching. This was our interview with sports nutritionist Romi Galea. And as a thank you, MaltaNutrition kept a goodie bag
Thank
for
you so much. Thank you.
For you. Enjoy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next interview.
Bye.